Right. Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. On behalf of the 170 million people who live in Bangladesh, in a country that's half the size of New York State, I'm very proud to represent the retail industry of Bangladesh. I'd like to thank Retail Asia, of course, and I'd like to also especially recognize the 4,079 people at Apex who make this happen. We believe that retail in Bangladesh is about to explode, and we invite all of you to come and see what we're doing. Thanks a lot for this, means a lot. First of all, thank you to Retail Asia for this award. Sustainability is a core value at Apex, and we're very proud that we have already been able to achieve a 19% reduction in our CO2 emissions since 2009 till today, and we're on track to reduce CO2 levels by another 66% by 2027. Having said that, the path is not easy. I think the first challenge that we are facing is basically access to knowledge and technology. Obviously in Bangladesh, we don't have access to the latest developments. Technology is often expensive and often proprietary. So can we network, can we come to events like this and find partners who can provide us that technology, whether it's in the solar space or whether it's in RFID or whether it's in data mining or AI. I think the second challenge that we are facing is, of course, the regulatory space, where unfortunately in Bangladesh, there are quite high import duties on things like solar panels. 26%, for example, on solar panels, which makes our initiatives very expensive. We have invested already to date about $1.58 million with a plan to invest another $270,000 this year. Having said that, the ROIs are very long, so sometimes as long as 20 years. So how do we bridge that? We know it's the right thing to do, but then how do we make sure that it doesn't affect our financial viability? So things like green bonds, things like access to green capital would of course be a huge help for that. I think the third part of it is of course more on the supply chain and operational. We know that there is a program, for example, from Merrill, where they have used scraps of leftover materials to create product for the retailers and to bring to consumers, but the retail price is $152 to $200. So oftentimes sustainability initiatives can be very expensive first time around. So how do you make sure you remain affordable? Things like nearshoring can be disrupted by global supply chain disruptions. Standards keep changing. For example, if you think about what the regulations are today and what they're going to be in 2 years' time, it keeps evolving. So what standards do you follow? How do you invest? But I think personally and as a company, our biggest focus has to be on the organizational stamina to stay the course. Investments in sustainability are a long-term play. You can't do it for the short term. As a proudly Bangladeshi company made in Bangladesh, worn around the world and worn in Bangladesh, we want to make sure we're doing things right for the country that we operate in. So how do we make sure that we don't get operational fatigue, particularly when you have times of stress, when margins are threatened, when costs are going up? How do you not deviate from those missions? So I think the most important thing is, of course, communication, to make sure that those values are owned from the ground up. It's not just a top-down but a bottom-up approach, and to make sure that people understand that environmental and governance is also linked to financial sustainability. It's only then it becomes a core value. I think there are internal reasons and external reasons. If we start with the internal reasons, I think the first thing is that the country where we operate, Bangladesh, is quite a small landmass. It's literally half the size of New York State with 170 million people. And we are self-sufficient barring natural disasters. So in today's world, food security is a huge issue. So anything that causes environmental degradation affects food security. So as a Bangladeshi corporate, we feel that this is our responsibility to take care, not just of the planet, but the country which gives us our business and take care of our people. So from that point of view, I think it makes sense to make sure that what we're doing is environmentally responsible. Bangladesh has done tremendously well on SDG achievements. We are proud that we are ranked 101 out of 164 countries in the world, but we can do better. So that's the first. I think the second part of it is more on the external side. Consumers. We believe that consumers deserve transparency. They have a right to know, and in fact, we've seen study after study that Generation Z and millennials are willing to choose products which are ethically sourced or responsibly produced over products that are not. So we call it, you have to mind your P's, Q's, and E. So it's not just price and quality only, and environment be damned. Those days are over, thankfully. So we feel that this is the time where companies that step up and follow will actually gain consumer space, not only top of mind, but hopefully in the heart. I think another external factor is, of course, legislation. We can see the new laws that are coming whether it's the proposed EU law about the ban on fast fashion, about the supply chain due diligence act that has been already enforced in certain countries in the European Union. This is coming down the pike, so we need to be prepared for that so that we are compliant with those practices, because we are a compliant publicly listed company in Bangladesh. And last but not least, I also think that it makes tremendous financial sense to invest in sustainability. Whether it's the use of rainwater harvesting, for example, which reduces our use of surface water by 25%, whether it's the use of electricity, which now powers 40% of our annual production in our factories, whether it's the use of LED lighting in all our stores, where we brought down our electricity consumption already by 15% and on course to bring it down by 25%, whether it's the use of recycled master gardens. All of these are little things that add up. So instead of saying, well, there's nothing we can do, because we are seeing, even in a country like Bangladesh, the effects of tremendous climate change. We are seeing weather patterns that are changing. So we believe that we have a responsibility, we have an external obligation, it makes business sense. And last but not least, we have stakeholder expectations. As I've said, we're a publicly listed company. We have seen foreign and domestic investors pay more attention to ESG practices of companies. And very interestingly, even potential employees, people who come and work at Apex, are interested to see if our values fit with what they want. Hence, we wear sustainability as a core value, as iCures as the last part of that value chain, and we think that this is the way to the future. The Bashundhara City Shopping Mall store for Apex is actually a jewel in our crown. We really believe that it has helped transform consumer experience and bring wow to customers in the footwear space, but not just the footwear space, even in retail in Bangladesh. With more than 22,000 square feet of retail footprint, more than 6,900 styles on display, our dedicated team of 47 people in that store deliver world-class consumer experience. We benefit from not just selling our private label brands, but we also sell some of the best brands in the world, Nike, Asics, Adidas. And this also helps us bring experiences and practices from those brands to us. We offer curated experiences. We offer a curated collection that is only for Bashundhara. We also try to innovate and make sure that we're doing things, for example, like a shoe repair station in store, a dedicated customer relationship manager, a bespoke service where shoes can be made to order. But I think the biggest experience changer there has to be customer service. We have to make sure that we remain customer-centric. We remain focused on listening to the voice of consumer. Because the Bashundhara store is not just a store, it's also a hearing post for us. It's where we listen to consumer, where consumers tell us what they want. And we are privileged and thrilled and grateful that from our rewards program, the Bashundhara City store, more than 96% of our sales actually come from our rewards program, which is our loyalty program, compared to 86% across the company, which means we have a lot of repeat business, which means customers are hopefully liking what we do, but of course then expectation grows and we need to do better. I think the growth story in Bangladesh is pretty much the growth story that we are mapping at Apex. If you look at pre-COVID, for almost 10 years, Bangladesh averaged almost 10% GDP growth, which is quite remarkable, one of the highest in the region. Of course, COVID slowed that down, but we followed that same trajectory. Now, what has happened is that the dedicated team of 4,097 people who work at Apex, I think, bring that passion and that commitment to work every day. And I think our focus has to be, how do we continue to listen to consumer? How do we continue to evolve? Because retail is evolving. We were at the Retail Expo today. The technology, the kind of breakthrough ideas that are coming are incredible. So the kind of new technologies that we saw today at Retail Expo are quite radical. We are seeing new uses of AI. We are seeing uses of facial recognition technology. We're seeing new ways to do data mining, all to make sure that you are listening to your customer better. So I think what we are trying to do is build on that strength. Our strength has been and will be product. Apex is a product-centric, consumer-oriented company. We have to make sure we know what our consumer wants, and we have to execute and deliver that faster and better than anybody else. And because we've been able to do it so far, we've won the Best Retailer of the Year in footwear in Bangladesh for the last 4 years. We've been rewarded today or awarded today with the Best Footwear Retailer in Bangladesh, as well as the sustainability. So these are all inspirations for us to do better. But I think the biggest part of it is going to be to make sure that we don't get complacent, We continue to drive growth, but we continue to drive growth with product at the heart and consumer voice in the mind, and so that we can continue to wow customers.